On the 100 million new doses, you said that the goal is to be oversupply. What's the goal for that oversupply? Is it to be held in reserve for kids? Is it to be donated to other countries? Is it to be held in reserve in case people need to get shots again next year? What's the plan for that extra dosage?
Well, first, the president's focus every day when he wakes up is ensuring every American, we can ensure that every American has access to a vaccine and that we are vaccinating the people in this country. But here are a couple of the factors that have weighed in on our decision to purchase an additional 100 million doses. We still don't know which vaccine will be most effective on kids. We still don't know the impact of variants or the need for booster shots, and these doses can be used for booster shots as well as needed. Obviously, that's still being studied by the FDA, but again, we want to be over-prepared, as I noted earlier. We also need maximum flexibility. So Johnson & Johnson, the vaccine has unique benefits. It's a one-shot vaccine. It can be stored in the fridge and not a freezer. It's highly effective, as the others are as well, against hospitalization and death. But we are really looking for maximum flexibility here, as we are still considering a couple of those pieces I mentioned, which is most effective with children, the effectiveness on addressing variants, and of course boosters, as I noted.
And then on the COVID relief bill, which is being voted on in the House right now, how quickly will school districts be able to access that money, and will they be able to implement it in time to make safety changes for this school year, which in many parts of the country is only going to last another 3 months?
You're absolutely right, and a fair amount of the funding is also we expect will be likely used for forward planning, right? So schools that need to plan for, we need to hire temporary teachers right now, but we need to ensure we can keep them on the job in a year and 2 years. We need to make facility upgrades. It really depends school to school. In terms of the timeline for implementation, I know that's something that our Department of Education is going to be looking at, and of course, the implementation team that will be focused on getting these dollars out the door. So we will certainly plan to give you an update as we have a better timeline on the calendar.
So on the vaccine, the head of the WTO and others are calling for greater efforts to be made by advanced economies, big countries and rich countries, to get more vaccine into developing countries. You've just announced that you want to be over-prepared here in the U.S. And what is the United States doing to ensure that these vaccines get out to other countries? And do you favor a waiver of intellectual property protections under the WTO to ensure that that moves more quickly? Or, what's your perspective on a kind of a third way that would be just increasing licensing?
Well, first, the president is deeply focused on the issue of expanding global vaccinations and manufacturing and delivery, which will all be critical to end the pandemic. But as we've also said, he's first and foremost focused on ensuring Americans have access to vaccines as soon as possible in this period of time. And we've obviously made a great deal of progress on that front. I don't have anything more to preview for you in terms of what that will look like. We first need to focus on, right now we're still in a circumstance where there isn't enough supply for the number of Americans who want to get the vaccination. So that's really our focus at this point in time. But certainly it's a point of discussion with his counterparts and with the counterparts of other members of our national security team.
So you don't want to say anything about the waiver?
I don't have anything more for you to predict.
Okay, and then on that question of vaccinating children, you mentioned that you're not sure which vaccine will be most effective. Fauci has talked about getting high school students vaccinated by the fall and elementary school kids in the spring. Do you have a sense of when every American could be vaccinated? I mean, you've talked about having enough on hand for adults to be vaccinated by the summer. Or by the end of May, actually.
Well, we will have enough supply, right? But the president is the first to say that we can't do this alone, and that certainly a component of this that is vitally important is ensuring that people understand across the country that these vaccines are safe and they are effective. And we are still going to focus on combating the issues of misinformation and, of course, of vaccine hesitancy in a range of communities. The FDA, as you know, would be the ones running point on approval of vaccines for children. I can't really predict when children will be vaccinated, and we don't know when the FDA may approve a vaccine. But our role is ensuring there's enough supply and that there is enough distribution. We've made a great deal of progress on that. More work to be done, but I can't make any predictions beyond that.